What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Square Circle Podcast. And once again, I am joined by Dose Evil. He put evil dose. Like, don't confuse me like that, buddy. I'm so used to Dose Evil, but he's back with me again to talk about MLW Intimidation games for 2025. This show happened on March 10th. We're doing it like so later on into the month because I just finished all of my New Japan Cup tournament podcast episodes. But today is just strictly MLW. So, Dose Evil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and it's funny because I always went by Evil Dose, but apparently I couldn't get it on X, so it became Dose underscore Evil. Maybe,
Oh,
maybe I'll just adopt Dose Evil just to keep it straight. But yeah, I mean, the whole purpose of this account was one, for wrestling nonsense, two, to get access to information from people who blocked me on my regular account, which I failed spectacularly at. And to torment Evil Uno. So of course Evil Dose. But I did win because Evil Uno left the space. Anyway, better late than never on Intimidation games. And next week is in fact Battle Riot. So
yeah,
our timing is actually pretty good.
yeah, it is. I was surprised with this one just because like it just opened up with a match because I was like thinking that it's gonna start off a little bit slow. Maybe we have like a promo or like someone in the ring talking. I got so used to Eric Bischoff just coming out and like cutting promos that I was like, oh, we're starting with a match. And the first one is Ariel Dominguez versus, I know how
Ono,
to say his name.
is it Ono Moro? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, but Akura Akuramura.
Akuamura, representing Contra.
Yes, because he's no. Yes.
He's sometimes in Contra. Him and Suzuki are in Contra theoretically.
But he's buddies with Kojima.
Well, no, I remember that here's the thing with MLW is that when they do all their tapings and they splice them together for TV segments, it's not always linearly. But last I saw Suzuki and Kunimura with Kojima, they were trying to recruit Kojima to join them in Contra, and Kojima had turned them down.
Oh, okay. So then we could go with that.
We could, but it might be like I. One weakness with the MLW format is I sometimes feel like I missed major plot points or major segments, but they just don't exist. Like, for example, I don't know how the Duran family got back Selena's baby father. Like, I saw a kidnap video, and it looked like Cesar knew more about what was going, and he was trying to negotiate like a different business deal instead of trying to get the guy back. And it was clear that he didn't really love his daughter having her baby father in life. And then the next week, which is this week, or not next week, the next episode, which is this episode, there he is.
Yeah.
So I don't know what led me to that, but the whole thing with Kunimura, and maybe he's not in Contra anymore. I mean, because you don't consistently see all the same people with Contra, and sometimes there's segments that happen, but there's no follow up with them, or there's not a follow up linearly, like chronologically on air. And while MLW does drop stuff on YouTube intermittently, it's like
Hmm.
matches. It's like matches in certain segments, but it's not like supplemental content.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is true. Sometimes even like as we do these, I also do think about like, it. Did I get this right? Did I not get this right? Even though I'm taking down like notes, sometimes I'm like, I think something is missing. Um,
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way. But because we are angling to be either the official or the unofficial official podcast of MLW, maybe we can help them with the continuity a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. So this opening match like showcased Ariel Dominguez, and I believe for me, that's the first time that I'm seeing him, and it was a great way to sort of get him on the map for maybe more potential returning to MLW. It was just a straightforward regular match, starting out with amateur wrestling, some strike for strike. Some shoulder tackles, and Ariel getting most of the offense until we get the inverted DDT, which is probably a, I gotta say, I don't want to say okay. It's just that my brain is like, you're not gonna say it correctly. But the finish of the match, I thought was a good opener. for now. What are your thoughts about the match?
This is the second time I've seen Ariel Dominguez on MLW TV, and he's lost both matches, which I guess is fine. I mean, I guess they're sort of doing the NXT formula. If someone from NXT is facing someone from the main roster, 9 out of 10 times they're going to lose, and I guess he's sort of this is his proving grounds to lose. He sort of reminds me a little bit of a Vinny Pacifico. He's a shorter
Mm,
guy. Vinny's stockier. Vinny's bigger, but I don't know. Maybe a few years back when Daga was first on Lucha Underground, which is where I first figured out who he was, reminds me a little bit of that. But I'm constantly surprised when they bring in a face that in my mind, I feel like they're presenting as a new young gun to sort of get behind, to be a face, and to make you happy and to cheer behind. And then they have them lose to an older guy. At the same time, the older guy, whether he's with Contra or with Kojima, that's sort of like their upper tier. So it does make sense for him to lose. But I mean, I didn't think the match was much of anything. I would have preferred, them to open with a luchador match, which would have been faster, because Konomura is a slow things
yeah.
down kind of guy. He's a traditional Japanese strong style wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talk about that at length on whenever I talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, about like
Yeah.
the different styles and the different ideologies that the wrestlers like have for like their matches and stuff like that. So yeah, he's definitely we got to slow it down, kid. If you're going like 110 miles per hour, he's like, no, we got to slow it down.
I also love that he's a ginger with a Mo from the Three Stooges haircut.
After that, we go right into a little like segment, if we want to call it a segment. This is a I call it the motivation by BRG to the Rogue Horseman, because the Rogue Horseman was like, "Yo, have you seen BRG? Like, he hasn't been like talking to us. I haven't gotten a hold of him." And then he comes through, and he's basically, I don't want to say like reliving the trauma of falling into that honey trap.
Right.
But I call it the motivation by BRG.
Right. Well, there's his crew, which he's sort of the leader of, is low key making fun of him for being basically tarred and feathered, except it wasn't tar, but it was feathers. Looking like
Hmm.
Big Bird. And he's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm good. We're gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm still the best. You're still the best." So it was one of those. By the way, I just today I saw BRG posting he's wrestling Austin Aries somewhere. Austin Aries is still wrestling.
Yeah, the thing with Austin Aries is that he's taking his own bookings whenever he wants to. And he decided to like move out to like Mexico and stay there and sort of like do his own thing. He doesn't really publicize it as much nowadays, but if he gets booked, he gets booked. But he's on like his own little like wavelength now.
He always was on his own little wavelength. I think everyone just figured out how to tune in and then recognized it and decided that's good. I'm changing the channel.
But yeah, I think I saw that going around on Twitter too, that BRG is going to be facing him. But still, speaking of BRG,
Mm-hmm.
he did not like the thumbnail that I put up for the last time we were talking about MLW, of him getting feathered and everything. I thought that was funny. And then I tried to want to be a part of the Rogue Horseman. Tried to offer him, well, just a picture of like my crunch wrap, and because I misspelled Rogue, he said, no, I cannot be part of Rogue Horseman.
Oh, did you spell Rouge?
I accidentally did. And then my comeback for him saying no to me was that, well, how can you blame me when my food is so delicious, of the misspelling?
Okay,
I was
well,
like,
you have his attention now, so that's fine. Listen, his own crew seems to be backing off on him, so maybe it's time for you to, make your play for the Fishman or the Andersons. I mean, CJ Anderson is older than me, so his mind might be feeble. So, and he just got bloodied. Spoiler. But so he might be concussed. So maybe now's the time. Come
yeah,
come out of the shadows, Marie. Come out of the shadows.
I'll work my magic. But I just wanted to mention that BRG was like, no, you can't. Even though I was like, I know you like this food. But speaking of First
Maybe,
Blood,
maybe we should just
I
replace him with Carson Drake and see if anybody notices.
oh my god. um, Speaking of First Blood, MLW had a first blood match. Now, I am not sure if this is like the first in its history. It could be the first in its history. But to me, I think that this should have been done like on a bigger stage or like a bigger pay-per-view for MLW. As much as I love the competitors in this match that had Mr. Thomas teaming up with Alex Kane versus Brock Anderson and CW Anderson, I
The
enjoyed First
enforcer,
Blood, the
the
enforcer. Yes,
enforcer, C.W. Anderson.
yes. Um, I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed how it was, the hard hitting. Like I was there, like, oh, this is so good and whatnot. I just think that the first blood match should have been on a MLW style like pay per view, like a big one. But it's not that big of a deal. So, what are your thoughts about MLW having their first blood match?
See, I don't know the difference between their pay per views and their non pay per views. I mean, I think you can. I'm not exactly clear which are pay per views or which are just going to end up being YouTube products. Anyhow, which, you know, maybe I'm not paying enough attention. Maybe they're not broadcasting enough. I always complain that WWE is too much filler and they're advertising and promoting and promoting and promoting and promoting, and there's not actually a show. But you always know what show is what and how you can access that show. So there's got to be a happy medium in there. Um, but I mean, Boomerang is for the people, and I count as a people. So, and plus, obviously, I'm in the tank for Mr. Thomas, who, by the way, did the edge thing and jumped off like the banister, like the level above the entrance ramp, staircase for the fans, walking through the fans. But unlike Edge, Mr. Thomas went basically horizontal and landed on the wrestlers instead of on his foot and breaking it. So Mr. Thomas is officially a better wrestler than Edge. And so, this is the second pay-per-view type event I've seen where Mr. Thomas is in matches where he's doing things that if you talk to Thomas, he's not supposed to be able to do. And he's done them. So I don't know what to talk about, but I mean, the good guys
Mm-hmm.
won. The Mr. Thomas savagely beat up C.J. Anderson, softened up that enforcer scar-riddled forehead of his, and then Alex Kane came in with his taped up wrists and sort of ground cheese grated into CJ's forehead until blood was on on Alex Kane's gloves, and you can see first blood was achieved, and Boomaye won at some point. Faye
Mm-hmm.
Jackson was delivering chops to BRG on the outside. That was pretty funny. She delivered chops better than Eddie Kingston. And, and, and so good guys won, bad guys lost. What can you say? A nice little feel good match. That probably could have opened up the show.
Yeah, that sounds like a tale as old as time that the good guys won, the bad guys lost. But definitely like shout out and praise to Mr. Thomas because as far as I've been like watching MLW and seeing how people progress in their career and their history, shout out to Mr. Thomas, man. Like I have not seen this dude do any of this stuff, and it makes me crack a smile and be like super happy to see him do stuff that he normally shouldn't be doing because he's a really tall guy. Like if I was to stand next to him, I could like fit into his damn pocket because I'm short. But other than that, like I'm very proud of Mr. Thomas to come out of his shell to do these kind of things and get that spotlight and doing what he's doing. So I'm proud of him for that.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little bit worried for him though. Going to the Battle Riot. I mean, you've got Mads Kruger, who's basically the same size. Now you have Tom Paystock or Baron Corbin or whatever he's going by now. Earl Loserdom. I don't know. And Dijak in there. So you have a whole bunch of people who are as tall or taller than him now, and it's going to be a big challenge for Thomas. And I don't. There was one episode of MLW where Baba Thunder came on, formerly
Hmm.
Baba Tunde
Yeah.
or Commander Aziz, um, and he agreed to be part of Contra. He said "Hail Contra" at the end of it. And then later that week, I saw him on NWA helping Mike Mondo in I think his match against Burchill. And I haven't seen Baba Thunder on either brand since. So I don't know what this is all. What's going on? I don't know if he's the troublemaker or uh, nobody can pay him or they just decided he stinks or I don't know. I don't understand what's. But I guess we shouldn't be talking about what's not on MLW. But that's one of those lack of continuity things. If a guy says hell Contra at the end of a show and it's a big deal, and you never see him with Contra again afterwards, it's a little strange.
Yeah, yeah. Personally, I like talking about stuff like that. That, like, if we do get a cliffhanger, like someone saying "Hail Contra," and they don't show up for like next week or like the week after that or something like that, I'd rather bring it up as being like, "Hey, don't forget about this," just to bring awareness. I do it like all the time for any other show to be like, "Hey, there's a little storytelling aspect that's missing here. Like, don't forget to fill that in." Because who knows? He could be, obviously part of all of the big guys there at MLW, but he could be someone's favorite. He could win this championship, that championship. He could create this story. Like, I'm all about these guys always having an opportunity to be positioned somewhere, so that way some fan could be like, "Ooh, I want to see more." You
Oh,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. He could also be a surprise entrance in Battle Riot or not be an entrant and help Contra. Mads Kruger's got that Money in the Bank type case where he can
Yeah,
cash it in at any time. Um, so he could be part of that. One of the reasons I want to remember it is one for that, so that we're the ones talking about. But also, if he never shows up again, like, what was the point? Like, what was the point of bringing him in? Once to do that, it makes Contra look a little stupid. Hail Contra, then it's got they're gone. I mean, the MCU doesn't do that with Hydra. I mean, we know who Baron Zemo is.
that's a good point. That is. That's a good point. But who knows? Maybe they might want to take the route of expanding Contra out to any other promotion that they work for. So they have like one guy out there, to be like, he's part of Contra. So,
I'm all for that.
branding. Yeah.
Representing Contra at GCW, representing Contra at House of Glory, representing Contra at whatever CMLL. That would be really cool. But I haven't seen it. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and since this was now 3 shows ago on MLW, maybe even before they, so that was 3 or 4 months ago. So you think you'd see the bookings, the promote, at least these on cards, and see if it says Contras or anything of that nature. And I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean I just didn't
Hmm.
miss it. I've muted and blocked a lot of accounts. A lot of accounts have muted and blocked me. So it's possible that I wouldn't see that, but I don't know. One of the ones I haven't blocked or been muted by is any of the MLW accounts, to my knowledge, anyway. And if he was representing Contra, you'd think that they would amplify that as well. So I don't know. It's a mystery. We're probably spending too much time on something that didn't happen on the show than not, but it is something to keep an eye on or an ear on. And since we're probably the only show that will do so, I guess that gives us a look. Actually, it really annoys me when other podcasters say that we're the only ones talking about this. How the hell do we know? There's like 40,000 wrestling podcasts out there.
True. that's that's so true. Well then, moving on, we do get our women's match, which is Tara Zap versus Delmi Exo, and this was a very interesting one. I do like that Tara Zap is in MLW and I get to watch her matches. She does remind me a lot of Rosemary, and I know a lot of people out there don't like when you compare to wrestlers, but that's just the vibe that she gives off on. You could tell that she works her ass off in the ring. So does Delmi Exo. And yeah, I really enjoyed this match. What did you think about it?
I really liked Tara Zap. She made a real impression coming in. I could see the Rosemary thing. I also see sort of what they were trying to do with Tian Shang way back when. A little bit of the missing link in there. I want to say Muda, but she moves too fast to be Muda. But she's the type of character like Pentagon that, despite being rather diminutive for the sport, you absolutely believe that she's a crazed lunatic. And I think they did a great job. They brought her in, basically in chains and manacles, surrounded by security.
Yeah.
I thought the match was good. And, but the story of the match was like, Tara Zep saying, I'm going to take everything you got. Just keep hitting me, keep hitting me. And eventually Delmi Exo won. So what I don't know is whether Tara Zap, that was just sort of a two and done, or if she's on the MLW roster, we're going to see her again. Because I thought it should have been harder for Delmi Exo to win. I mean, it didn't look like Tara Zap was even trying to win. For most of the match, it looked like she was just trying to absorb as much punishment as possible to see if Delmi could defeat her. I also think the name of the title, though, the women's featherweight title is dumb because it's the only women's title there. Just I mean, just call it the women's heavyweight championship or the women's world championship, or whatever, or the fusion champion, whatever you want to say. I just don't get the featherweight part of it. I mean, especially because Taya Valkyrie was holding it for a while, and I mean, she's not a featherweight. It's just it's even in a men's division, Taya Valkyrie isn't a featherweight. She's probably 135, 140 in a good way. But
Hmm.
featherweights, like in male boxing, are like 120-pound dudes.
That is true. I never really questioned it, only because I'm like, it's for, the women. We do have like a lot of smaller women, which is not like, a bad thing to even talk about or even think about. But I just think that MLW might wanted to do some type of like, I don't want to say boxing element. Like, I don't want to speak for MLW because I don't even know the creative process of like why they did it. But maybe it does eventually need to change. But I would still like to have a really good, a really good, decent women's roster that can, have as much time as the men, as we keep saying. But I definitely want to see more women shine in MLW, even though like on par with the men that are shining too. You know.
Well, good luck on that one. Um,
I know.
but I mean, two of the most badass women in wrestling, at least their characters, are Janai Kai and Tara Zapp, and they could be called featherweights, but why bother if they're fighting other women who are not? And Del Exo is not a big woman, but she's a regular size for athletic wrestler. I just think that the title being called featherweight is dumb and unnecessary. It's not, even if they came up with like an original title, like the Gaia World Championship, because Mother Earth, whatever. Just I just pulled that
Uh-huh.
out because Gaia's Garden of Thought. That's one of my things that comes up time and time again. I just don't like the name of the title. Anyway, the match was fine. It's just I expected more out of Tara Zapp, and because I got less, I am
Hmm.
fearful that I'm not going to see Tara Zapp again on MLW, and I had never seen her before, so I don't know where to find her now. She's going to start to show up on NXT or Evolve or NWA or other things that I can watch. Or she gets signed by TNA, which is
Mm.
trying to rebuild a little bit, but they're hiring less expensive wrestlers. Get rid of Gail Kim. That was a people are pushing back against it and upset about it, and I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you can hire 8 wrestlers for what you're paying Gail Kim, um, and she, maybe that's okay. I don't really know, but anyway, like Tara Zapp, like Delmy Exo a lot. I like the match. Laura just said, I just fear that was the bon voyage. There's the bienvenidos and the bon voyage for Tara Zapp.
I get that. I get that. Right after the women's match, we do get a Templaro promo where he's talking about what it means for him for the title shots, and that Mystico never gave him a one-on-one shot for that title. Do you have any thoughts about his promo?
No, he's right. Everything he said is right, though. I mean, but I mean, again, chronology. The Templario got the pinfall in the tag match on the
Yeah.
last MLW show. So the fact that he didn't give him a singles title shot since doesn't seem very egregious, since this is Intimidation Games was the next televised show or broadcast show. So it I mean, even if he was making stuff up, remember in the old WWF and in NWA, they used to make up that like they were defending titles all over the country in the interim.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have said that I wherever you got booked, Mystico, I was getting booked, and you weren't letting the bookers book us together.
Mm.
I followed you to Tijuana, I followed you to Mexico City, I followed you to Houston, I followed you to El Paso, I followed you to Oklahoma City, and wherever you were booked, and nobody. I even followed you to that show with the billionaires kid, but wherever you were, you wouldn't face me. So that at least would have filled those blanks. Um, so, but absent my nitpicking, because
Yeah.
nitpicking is what I do. I think the promo was fine. I just would have liked for them to filled in the blanks there. Again, continuity. I mean, I think a show like MLW that relies mostly on YouTube and out of country TV subscriptions or however they're broadcast.
Yeah.
and you're only doing new content once a month, once every 6 months. I mean, once every 6 weeks. Um, that you need to think about that continuity to make it more episodic, because MLW
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
try to be episodic, but sometimes you need to have more. And who knows what got filmed and didn't got edited out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, those are my 2 cents on that. But I'm fine. I mean, the last time was the first time I saw Templario, and I thought he was good. Mystico, a lot of people say he's the best luchador in the world right now. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Whatever. But he's good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a again, like when we did the first show, it's like I don't need to see like 3 luchador style lucha
Yeah.
libre
Yeah.
matches on my card, but one, why not?
Yeah. Um, So Templario is gonna be fighting Mystico at Battle Riot, like on a one-on-one match. So that's when that's gonna happen. So who knows? We might end up getting a new champion at that point, and that'll be very very interesting. But I do think that a lot of the stuff that gets filmed for MLW, that not everything makes the cut. And then I also think that the fusion tapings. I think the fusion tapings was helping to make MLW feel episodic, because
Mhm.
if something wasn't answered on like the main show, you'll get it on like the fusion episodes. So I don't know why they stopped doing the fusion tapings.
Or just do something called like backstage pass or whatever, like so like your version of being the elite, but it's actually like documentary style, but storyline kayfabe, and
Mm,
covering what has happened in between the shows, and then drop that as YouTube content. Like I said, they're already taping it. It's just not making it onto the air, so it's not like it's costing them any more to upload to you. If anything, it'll increase revenue. I
it
mean,
would.
when I watch intimidation games, the either the night it aired, and then I watched it again
Hmm.
yesterday in anticipation for the show. So I at that time yesterday, which would have been March 29th or 27th, it doesn't matter, thereabouts.
Okay.
Um, 28th, it would have been the 28th. 89,000 people had watched intimidation games uh, on YouTube. Now, if they had sort of this between content of a show that filled in blanks, I don't know that all 89,000 of those people would watch it, but would 40,000 of them watch it? Probably.
Probably. Yeah. I would. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I'll be
why
happy with
not why
that
not
too.
increase your revenue from YouTube by 50% with when with no additional cost?
Yeah. Yeah. Right? It's just extra content that they could do in the building and stuff like that. Whatever doesn't get put on the show could be put on that, like a little BTE kind of thing. Yeah, good ideas. See, this is why, like, I love talking about this kind of stuff, because
Yeah.
both you and I know that what's good for the whole entire wrestling ecosystem is good for like everybody else.
Yeah, especially if they're doing things that are actually good. Like, I mean, there's going to be an Azteca invasion. There's going to be
Yeah,
MLW versus CMLL, and that's what you get with partnerships. I mean, oh my God, Forbidden Door, but this is the same thing, and it's probably going to be more even Steven as opposed to Forbidden Door, which I mean, generally speaking, the AEW people are always going to win that because it's an AEW card. Like maybe you'll throw in some gimme match for the New Japan people to win on a match that doesn't matter, or
yeah,
because you know that you're going to sign them in 2 months anyway and poach them. But this is Forbidden Door was never a Forbidden Door.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I I didn't really. I mean, it was only forbidden because New Japan was angry at the Bucks and Kenny for sort of betraying them. So that's what made it forbidden, I suppose. But there's always been New Japan people, touring here and wrestlers going to New Japan. I mean, that's the whole concept of Bullet Club.
yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Um, so moving on into the card, we get to the National Openweight Championship title, which was a fatal four way, and it was a hardcore match. We had Bobby Fish versus Paul Walter Hauser, your favorite person,
Mm-hmm.
versus Akira. Um, I call him affectionately Deathmatch Akira for anybody out there, but Akira, and then versus the champion Matthew Justice. First of all, this was so chaotic. that like my notes are about like this big in like chunks about who did what, this person did that. I do think that at one point Paul Walter Hauser got knocked out, but the match still had to continue. Even though like Paul over here is an actor. He survived a fatal four way with these guys. So props to him. Like I said, very very chaotic. Um, Before I continue, because the highlight of the match is after what happens, but I want to know if you had any thoughts on the match itself.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Paul Walterhauser, he's only my favorite person because he blocked me over nothing. So he's clearly way too sensitive, um, and like I think he took something personal where he said I don't really like celebrities in wrestling, but I don't like celebrities in wrestling. I mean, the only celebrity in wrestling that I think ever made an impact that mattered long term was Mike Tyson with the old DX angle. Um,
Mm,
you can argue Dennis Rodman with the NWO, but I don't think that he added anything to the NWO or to Carmen Electra. Um, but but he's training. He takes it seriously. He wants to be there. It's not like I don't like the guy. I conceptually I don't like a. I mean, especially a guy who's in worse shape than me. Being there. Um, and people are like Logan Paul, Logan Paul. Well, guess what? Check my tweet history. I don't like Logan Paul. I keep saying WWE cut ties with him, and then they keep re-signing him. Um, but but Logan Paul at least looks like an athlete and is an athlete, and he's really good at it. But I'm still saying get him out of there for a variety of reasons, not just because he's a celebrity. But I didn't want to see Bad Bunny in a WrestleMania match. I don't think it looks good to wrestling if a rapper comes in and wins a match against veterans. Um,
hmm
Especially since history has shown us that doing those kinds of crossovers has not brought any new eyes to wrestling. The wrestling fandom continues to be the same or shrink. And I know I was good. Well, you don't know how they're consuming the Listen, there used to be 20 to 30 million people watching wrestling on Monday nights. I don't care how many platforms there are out there. There aren't 20 or 30 million people watching wrestling at any particular time, probably not worldwide in the aggregate, let alone for two products one night. So this is not about Paul Walterhausen. I've never seen his shows, though he was in a movie. I just miniseries on Netflix, Zero Hour or
hmm
something, which was all right. It was pretty mid. Um, my biggest thing with this match is again continuity. If you
Yeah.
didn't know that Matthew Justice was supposed to be like the top homegrown face in the company, and you just watched MLW for the last 6 months, you'd have no idea that he's supposed to be special uh, to them. You think that Alex Kane was. You would think that Riddle is. You might think that Filthy Tom Lawler is. But those would be your faces. That's who you're getting behind. Justice. You have to go back to a couple of years back when he was with
Yeah.
Mance Warner, and then after Mance Warner left, and he sort of took over the two gear crew or whatever, and then the
Yeah.
two gear crew left, and then it was just Matthew Justice. You wouldn't know
Yep.
that he's supposed to be there, Seth Rollins. So a little
Ooh.
bit about that. Anyway, Matthew Justice retains, which hopefully they'll show more of. Listen, I don't. Matthew Justice doesn't excite me particularly as a wrestler, and please don't block me. That doesn't mean I don't like you. It's just I don't find him to be particularly interesting. But if he's your centerpiece, your young talent, your star, the face that you want to brand around going forward, let us know every single show.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, agree with that too. Make him the face. Matthew Justice is very underrated. He has something. There's something special there. It's just the way that he's been positioned on like the chessboard. Um, to me doesn't really get him as much attention as like he should be getting. And then you bringing up the point that like if he's supposed to be the MLW like Seth Rollins in a way, that's like really high praise that like you're giving him, because I was like, oh yeah, it clicks, it works, and I'm here like getting excited about the idea of that. But yeah, Matthew Justice is very underrated.
Yeah, I
um
mean, people are sick of Cody, but that's because they never stop showing you Cody. I mean, so if he's going to be your star, show him. And I get Riddle is the bigger name. He came from
yeah, yeah,
WWE and he's the champion, and that's fine. But you know, don't let it not be known that Matthew Justice is the homegrown person, and that when Riddle leaves, which he probably will at some point, that the person you're supposed to focus on, 1B, is Matthew Justice.
That is true. So now my favorite part after the whole entire hardcore fatal four way match is when the Rogue Horseman comes out, beats up both Justice and Paul Walter Hauser because and also Akira, because Akira just comes in and be like, "Oh, you're not beating them up. I'm gonna just jump in." For those that didn't watch the show, Justice was giving his promo speech, giving praise to Paul Walter Hauser, and then here comes the Rogue Horseman. Here comes BRG, and I thought the promo battle between BRG and Paul Walter Hauser was really great on BRG's part, because he hit Paul Walter Hauser with this one line that I absolutely love, and BRG said, um, money, I believe it's money buys convenience.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so smart of a line. And then after he said that, all of the security guards that were there that was supposed to break up everything were paid, they're paid people. Um, and they took off their shirts and they had the Rogue Horseman shirt underneath it and they all attacked like everybody else. And I thought that was the most like genius thing that I've seen in wrestling.
Yes, it was. That was fun, and that was smart. Uh, Back to our friend PWH or WPH, whatever it is. For an actor, he doesn't emote much in his promos. They're always sort of the same. They're like, "I get it. You don't take me seriously. You think I'm fat, but I'm going to see you in the ring." Okay, buddy. And that's basically his promo. It's like give us some range. So show us what got you those Golden Globes or the Emmys or whichever you have. Maybe you both. I don't know. But yeah, this is okay. And you love the wrestling trope where people unzip their sweatshirt or take off their shirt, and it's the other team's shirt that they're wearing. That's right. That tells the fans whether you're in the front row or you're up in the nosebleeds in Madison Square Garden that it's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. And listen, I'm pretty sure those same four guys were also the ones who were the Sentai Death Squad guys later on. but,
They
but
probably were.
yeah, I mean, that's all right. I mean, if you ever watch the old Planet of the Apes movies, you see it's the same actors in every movie, just playing different roles. It's fantastic. So why not? Anyway, yeah, no, good segment. And the Horsemen, even though they suffered a loss earlier in the evening, they have to win. They have to because they're the top heel faction. Well, arguably they're 1A or 1B, depending on if you think Contra's the top heels. And they have the moniker Horseman with them, which was granted by Arn Anderson permission because he owns that trademark, and of course for his son, who's there as well in the Horseman. So yeah, cool segment. See where it goes. Obviously I want to see the Rogue Horsemen win the tag team gold, because that's how Bumaye wins it, because MLW is pretty good about the face versus heel dynamic, where
Mm-hmm.
lots of other places in the world have sort of blurred that. MLW has sort of stuck to that traditional formula. So yeah, all good.
So for the next part in the MLW Intimidation games, I'm gonna group them all together because they're like segments. The first one is Cesar Durant going out on stage and being like, "Court has granted him to be the president of MLW now,"
My
and then
personal friend Cesar Durant. Don't forget, I have him on an interview on Gospel of Thomas with Luis Fernandez Hill, who is Dario Cueto, Cesar Durant. So go check that out. Cheap plug, but he doesn't do podcasts. I mean, and we broke some news and might have forged love connection. Actually, I want to email Luis, but I don't want to come off as a kooky stalker guy. So, but there's a 1A and 1B question I want to ask him. And if I don't, no one else is going to do it for me. I just don't want to invade on his cyber privacy.
I mean, the most he could say is no if you
Yeah,
decide to email him.
it's true. You're right. It was a good show. It
Okay,
was really entertaining, by the way.
so let me rephrase that. Your personal friend, Caesar Durant, is
Mhm.
now the president of MLW. And then we saw Selena get proposed, and she said yes. And then Caesar fails and I faints, not fails, faints. And I thought that was pretty like entertaining. I loved it.
It was.
Now after that, Eric Bischoff is apparently on the phone talking to somebody, and then Alex Kane shows up through the door and, basically says to Eric that, he's no longer in position and that Alex, I have it right here in my notes, that Alex will punch his ticket into the Battle Riot, and then he locks out Eric Bischoff, which I was like, oh, this is another entertaining segment. Any quick thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's fun because Eric Bischoff mainly has made his goal to torment the Boumaye Fight Club. He fired Alex Kane, who then continued to be fired, but sneaking his way into auditoriums. Even though when Eric Bischoff isn't there, the management of MLW just could have hired Kane back, but that's neither here nor there. And so Alex Kane said, "Huh, Caesar has full power, and he's down with Boumaye, and you're out, and you're fired." And he closed the door behind him, which locks from the inside. Eric couldn't get back in, and he's on the phone. He's like, "Get me to court, get me to court." And court is too busy to take his call. He's like, "Okay, have him call me back." I can't get in the building. I'm on the loading dock. So yeah, I don't know if this is the last we're going to see of Eric Bischoff on MLW, near term or medium term or not. But yeah, this was funny, and it's a fine way to sort of end or continue the Boumaye Kane Bischoff feud rivalry. Either way it goes, it makes sense.
Yeah. And Court is very busy. I barely see him whenever I tend to work and help out. He's somewhere, always in the building, always working. Um, After all of that, we get Dijak's promo where he's very upset that his manager arm is broken, and he's probably going to teach Tom Lawler a lesson.
Good. He should protect his manager.
And then after all those segments, we get another match by this wrestler named Neon. In parentheses, I have the human asteroid versus Kushida. This was definitely a fast match with a lot of different counters. Cross arm breaker on the outside, some surfboard, another counter, some DDTs, a moonsault. Eventually, Kushida in the end got the Back to the Future finisher on Neon. And I guess it was just an okay match. It was fast and furious, if you want to say. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, Neon. I mean, the human asteroid. I mean, first of all, an asteroid is definitionally in space, not here on Earth. Secondly, if you're going to be the human asteroid, how does anyone beat you? Well, I guess if you're a rock and you land, then you can't get up, so that makes sense. So I guess we can establish that time travelers defeat asteroids. They're at least trapped in a gravity well. So this is fine. I've never really been a Kushida fan. I've never really been into the Marty McFly gimmick. I didn't like him in NXT. I did, so whatever. I know he's a name, and yes, he's going to be in Battle Riot too, and
Yeah.
Dijak's in Battle Riot, and Anthony Green announced for Battle Riot, and there's been a whole bunch of people announcing for Battle Riot. Kevin Koo, was it Kevin Koo? No, I don't think it's Kevin Koo.
It's not Kevin Koo. You're confusing it with my buddy Tristan.
I do. I know I confused that, but I mean, there's been a bunch of people who have announced or been announced for a Battle Riot since that, including what's Baron Corbin calling himself these days? Has he?
Bishop, something. There's like Bishop, and then his last name starts with a D.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So yeah, Bishop D is there. That sounds like a rap name, but he's in there too. So there we go. We're nowhere near the 40 that they're gonna, which is fine. One of the things about Battle Riot is to see the surprises. Who you're gonna
Yeah,
get, and some are a lot of fun, and some are a little bit weird, like Duke the Dumpster, Josie from 100 years ago. So that, but we'll see. So it's all good.
yeah. And then now we came to the main event, which is the Filthy Bros of Tom Lawler and Matt Riddle taking on Contra Unit. Um, I believe I forgot who they picked. Oh no, yeah, they picked my buddy um, Quan. which I'm probably gonna call him Quan, even though I know him as Tristan. You get him confused with Kevin
Kevin
Koo
Coop. Yeah.
most of the time, but it's my buddy Tristan.
Is it like
Um,
Barbarossa Kwan, or is Barbarossa a different guy?
I think Barbaros was a different guy. That
He's
sounds
like
different.
the caveman guy.
Yeah, yeah, yep. The
Okay.
caveman guy. And I'm guessing based on my notes, I forgot who Quan was tearing
Everybody listening to
teaming up
this is
with.
going to be like, this idiot doesn't know one Asian person from another.
I have not received that comment yet, but it might come in this one.
Listen, I recognize people. I'm working my way right into that comment fairly. It's like, but it's not something I normally flop around with. It's not something I normally have confusion with. But apparently in MLW, there's three people that I conflate, and one of them's not even MLW anymore.
Yeah. I mean, like it's not wrong because sometimes people just have the ability to like recognize faces and like don't really remember names. So like I
That's all
won't
the
get mad
same
at you for
build.
it.
They're all sort of short and stocky. They're you can tell that they're musculature, but they're not ripped. I mean, they all basically fit the same physical characteristics. That said, three different people, three different faces, three different names. So yeah,
Yeah.
on me.
So again, it's Filthy Bros versus Contra Unit. It was a good match. It was a good match, but then somehow ended up into a no contest where I was like, what did I miss? And then they did the WWE sort of ending of like everybody coming out into the ring to attack and be like, they're here for like Battle Riot, and here's a a preview to Battle Riot coming up. And I was like, you guys ruined a good match. Like, I don't know. I was loving the tag match, but
Yeah,
yeah, your thoughts on the main event?
no, the match was good, and you're right. The schmaz ending. I mean, there's two ways a match like this should end, which is one where Mads Kruger pins the MLW World Champion. They should pin,
Mm,
Matt Riddle, the champion, to make you think that Mads Kruger can win. Or the other is a schmaz leading up to Battle Royal, and they chose the latter. And I guess in thinking about it, I guess you don't need to have Mads Kruger pinning Matt Riddle in a match. They want to keep him looking strong because he's got the case. So even if he doesn't win Battle Riot, he could still cash in the case at any time. So I guess he doesn't need that pinfall to get the title. So the schmaz sort of made sense. I mean, it came out of nowhere. They cut to the backstage, and four guys from the Death Squad, the Shinobi Death Squad, or whatever those guys are called. Probably again the same four guys that were security. You see them coming to the ring, and they come to the ring, and then
mm-hmm.
then you had a bunch of faces and heels. The Rogue Horseman ran in, the Boomaye ran
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
Matthew so
Everybody.
Akira. So pretty much everybody who was going to be involved in Battle Riot. And since this is the last episode until Battle Riot, the schmaz brawl makes sense booking wise, and was probably the better choice because the whole time I was just waiting to see how Matt Kruger's going to score a pinfall over Matt Riddle. So this was fine. Took me a little bit by surprise. A dusty finish, but they want you to watch Battle Riot, and they're giving you a taste of what the chaos of Battle Riot would be. So I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, the match being good is fine, and you're supposed to be frustrated that it didn't get finished. I mean, there's really no stakes involved in the match. It's not like
Yeah.
it wasn't. I mean, is Riddle and Filthy, are they the tag team champions?
No,
Yeah, so there are no
they're
stakes
not.
involved. Um, I can't for life of me. I can't think of who the tag team champions are right now.
I believe it's still my buddy Quan and like somebody else or
Oh
Suzuki,
no,
unless they dropped it.
it's Suzuki and Konamura. That's what it is.
Is when people listen to this episode, they're gonna be like, "Do they really watch MLW?" And it's like, it's I don't know. I need to try to retain the information. Like,
Well, they never show them. They barely highlight the tag team titles because there's not really a tag team division. So I don't think this is really on us. If listen, I have. If you ask me who the WWE Raw tag team titles are, except that I was just thinking about it. If you ask me
uh-huh.
like in 48 hours who they are, I'd have to think for like a good 30 seconds. And go, oh, it's the Viking Raiders or the War Machine or
Yeah,
War Raiders, whatever they call it these days. I mean, I know the Street Profits. So it's just if you don't highlight your tag team champions, it's confusing. But I think it's Suzuki kind of more. Anyway,
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, I have it here. I had to Google it. I had to Google it. You know how all the young kids today are like, Google it,
mhm.
and I Googled it. The current MLW Tag Team Champions are Cozy Max, Satoshi Kojima, and Okamura, who are in their record-breaking second reign as tag team and as a team and individually. They won the titles by defeating Contra unit that had my buddy Quan and Suzuki at Eric Bischoff's one shot in New York City. That's
Okay.
right. That did happen. That's because they threw all the bread in and whatnot. But I had the job of getting Eric Bischoff to the meet and greet, so I didn't get to like celebrate by throwing bread into the ring that day.
Well,
Yeah,
good for me for not remembering any of that. That's very impressive. Um, but,
sir.
but in the names I mentioned, there were the tag team champions, just not
Yeah, yeah,
together
yeah.
on opposite sides. Okay, very good on that. The one thing we is that at some point during the show, Filthy Tom Lawler presented Matt Riddle with the new oversized MLW World's Heavyweight Championship belt, and they did their joke about big belt energy and things like that. And then there was they gave a painting, sort of like from
Oh
the
yeah,
Sistine Chapel with God touching.
yeah.
It was very Don Callis. It was a very Don Callis kind of thing.
It
Um,
was.
but yeah, it would have been funnier if it hadn't been done by Don Callis for like the last 3 years.
Yeah. Um, if I was there working the event, I probably would have just marked out and like just say some stupid ass jokes about it. Like I thought that was pretty like, oh, we're going there. This is hilarious.
Right,
I wonder if
best friend forever, bro.
yeah, I wonder if they're gonna be selling prints and if people are gonna be buying it off of the MLW shop.
I
That would be pretty funny.
I mean, I would absolutely try to sell prints. I would really wonder who's buying that. But that's hysterical. All right, so when did they secure the release of Selena's now fiance?
I have no idea.
Because last I saw it on TV, they were
He
watching
proposed.
the demands, and Selena was yelling at Cesar, saying,
Yeah.
"You don't care about him at all, do you?" He's like, "Yes, I love my son-in-law, or I love his," and then all of a sudden he's there and he proposed, and if social media is to believe, that was actually the real proposal.
Yeah. Hmm.
So good for those kids.
Yeah, definitely good for them. So as everybody out there knows, the next MLW pay per view is Battle Riot. That's April 7th. Congratulations to MLW for not only selling out the original venue that they picked for Battle Riot in LA, but then they had to upgrade to a better venue. So congratulations to MLW all around for that.
I congratulate you and me, because I think that we are the ones who are the great success of uh, MLW and Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I will always be the first to say that if you have yet to experience like a wrestling event, and this is for all the fans out there, and you're waiting to like WWE prices, ticket prices go down, just go to an MLW event, go to your local wrestling promotion. Like it'll be fun. WWE will always be there, but go to an MLW event and anything else. And by the way, I don't get paid to say that. I just say it out of the goodness of my heart because there is it's such a better atmosphere to go there as a fan.
If you go to a WWE show and you buy, let's just say it's two of you, you buy a soda and a hot dog, you have spent more money than your MLW ticket will cost you.
Yes, yes, that is 100% true.
And it's fun and it's
100% true.
fast moving. I mean, I get that people want to be part of events. I would never spend the kind of money to see WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble. I'm very happy to watch those things at home. But to pay that kind of money to see Raw and SmackDown with all the filler and empty space in it, I cannot imagine paying those prices. Like I don't even watch AEW, but I would sooner go to a Dynamite or a Collision in my town than I would to go to WWE. And I'm not going to the one April 9th to Dynamite because that would break my oath of being AEW free. But if somebody said you have to pay to go to one of their shows, which would you go to? I'd go to AEW, just because it's cheaper, and I know it's not going to be slow. It's going to be happy. It's going to be happening. I don't have the luxury of hitting the pause button or fast forwarding or watching at my own time like I do with WWE. So, which is what I need to do to survive a WWE TV show for the most part. Anyway, your point's well taken. Go to MLW, go to NWA, go to your local indie. Some of the indies are really, really good. And because there's so many people, you can see WWE ID prospects, you can see people who are
Mm-hmm.
in TNA, you can see people who are in AEW Ring of Honor. I mean, it's you can and you can also sort of see the people who are like, sort of national names, but you don't see on TV, like my dear friend Shaza McKenzie, like Vinny Pacifico. Yeah, I'm just naming people who have been on the Gospel of Thomas and Book of
It's
Black.
okay. Go ahead, man.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, but yeah, you can see it, but you can see Delmi Exo. Maybe you'll see Delmi Exo facing Tiffany Nieves. That could be interesting. That could be fun. So Ivy Malibu, Laney Luck, all the all these characters. Not Jake something right now because he's hurt, but yeah, you can see Effie. You can see Warhorse, who's no longer Warhorse, but it's there's if you're listening to the show, you're part of the IWC. So
Yes.
the level of wrestler. I'm talking about the ones that are just a notch below being signed, or have chosen not to be signed by a big promotion,
Mm-hmm.
or will be within the next 2 years. So you're going to see good shows and good characters and people who know what they're doing. And for the most part, people genuinely like and support each other. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
nice. That's the thing about the wrestlers. Like, people are making a big deal that Ricochet and Samantha Irvin's wedding, there were people from WWE there. Why? Why is that a surprise? They're friends. I mean, Cross was there, and Cross and Ricochet knew each other at least back to Lucha Underground, probably before that. So they've known each other and worked with each other and around each other for years. Why is this a surprise that if you are in a company for 6 to 8 years that you are still friends with some of those people, or maybe we're friends with them even before and the friendship just continued? I mean, it's bizarre to me. The very few of the wrestlers feel like they're playing a team sport versus the other wrestlers.
Yeah. Um, I would just chalk it up to like most of the people that complain on the IWC, plus the bots included that get paid for to say the same rhetoric. It's because they grew up with a screen in front of their faces and don't understand that, like, you could still be friends with somebody that goes to the opposite team of, like, of a company or something like that. You can still be friends with them, cheer them on, and be like, oh, you're doing great. You're awesome. Well, my destiny is on like this side of the tracks, so to speak, to put it in that perspective. I just think that growing up with a screen in front of your face and thinking that like that's the be all end all, that like it's really damaging to everybody, and then sometimes I also think too that most wrestlers, when they try to play kayfabe, it comes off the opposite effect of what they want, and then when they end up playing like reality, it comes off a different way. So people are like kind of confused, and then it just gets chalked up to like, you can't do this, but you could do that. It's complicated. It's
Yeah.
complicated out here.
Yeah, you got if you are a wrestler, you sort of need to pick one or the other. You sort of need to either always be in kayfabe or always be yourself. Because if you go back and forth, it's going to be very disconcerting, and you're never going to make everyone happy. So you're just going to double the people who are unhappy with you.
Mm, yes, yes. With all of that being said, most wrestlers do not really have like the beef that the internet wrestling community thinks that they have. They're all supportive and they're all like massively like freaking cool. I can definitely vouch for like most of them that I worked with. But the next time that you will see myself and Evo Dose, this time will be reacting, not really reacting to, but just reviewing and reacting to Battle Riot 7, that is on. Wait, no, is it Battle Riot 7? Is
It's
is that
April
the
5th.
number?
April 5th. It's
April 5th.
this coming Saturday. Whether it's 7 or not, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, because my brain was like, yeah, it's Battle Riot 7,
Listen,
April 7th,
I'm
and I
not
was
saying
like,
anything else wrong. I'm already a racist towards Asian men, so
sir. Oh my God,
I declare
no.
war on all Asian men.
No, don't do that.
Come
No.
get me, bros.
Listen, I might just end up sending my buddy so that way, you and him can have a conversation on your show
Please,
about it.
listen. I have a whole show based on talking to wrestlers about things that are not wrestling generally, and it's always a lot of fun. And listen, if you come on the show and I talk to you, I'm not going to forget you afterwards. I'm extremely loyal. I'm Mark loyal. If you do me a solid, if you interact with me, I'm yours forever. It's you don't know me, you take me for granted, you're dead to me. So not that I'm so special, not that there's anything particularly interesting in me, but as I've said to other people, and other people have seen it happen, one, I can be strangely useful. Two, I'm extremely good luck for other people.
Yep, I can vouch because I really do enjoy our talks. I know I could talk today. But yes, that's the next time you'll be seeing us. We'll be reviewing Battle Riot. So I know you've been plugging your show and all the guests you've had for the whole entire, well, half the show. So do it again. Let them know where to find you, Dose.
Well, fine, thank you. So if you want to find me on X for wrestling nonsense, it's dose_evil. You want to find me for less wrestling nonsense, but more general, it's at Icarus Fell MD. You're welcome to follow me at both. But if you just want wrestling, just go with the first one. My podcast is under the Garden of Thought feed that contains three shows, one which used to be called Garden of Doom and one that used to be called Garden Views. They're both merged under Garden of Thought now. Sort of the weekend show is sort of, if you turn on the History Channel, the Discovery Channel at 7 p.m. and just watched it straight through until 3 a.m., it's sort of like that type of landscape panoply. The pyramids, ancient aliens, UFOs, archaeology, but also, real history or alternative history. The midweek show is more like a magazine show, sort of like your 2020s or your Datelines or 48 Hours. A lot of authors there and a lot of law and sort of tech and sort of, items like that. And then, of course, there's a show either with PJ Black or Mr. Thomas as my co-host, and once Lufisto, where we talk to people in and around wrestling about usually non-wrestling things. Wrestling creeps in there from time to time, but had some really great guests and have some, this Monday I'm dropping the show with April Hunter, former Nitro girl, all of that. Talk about her being in the Carmen Electra's Naked Wrestling show, and interviewing Big Trouble Ben Bishop on the 31st. I have Kaya McKenzie coming up in May. Tiffany Nieves is booked. And whenever we need an emergency, we break glass and Thomas can bring in one of his buds. So, but I try to do the booking as much as possible. Garden of Thought, you get those three shows, and a lot of fun. You can also find me on Wrestling Soup. When we do the SmackDown review show, we've probably missed more than we've had since we started it. But and this week we did our first Evolve review on Wrestling Soup. It was me and White Chocolate. And that's supposed to be a weekly thing with Misha's going to join us. And I do something called Body Slam Briefs, which is sort of where law and wrestling intersects. And those shows are usually 10 to 27 minutes. They're short, and if you can get used to listening to my voice in 1.5 or 2 times speed, then obviously they're half that long. And wrestling and law intersects more than you might think. That's it. I pop up here and there, like on the Marie Shadows show. So if you're here because of me, then definitely subscribe and support all of Marie's stuff. And we both of us periodically appear on Pro Wrestling Time or Pro Wrestle Times. Whatever. I'm easy to find. If you look for me and you can't find me, that's on you.
That is true. I accidentally gave the nickname White Chocolate to White Chocolate.
Oh, really?
I accidentally gave him that nickname. He came during one of my lives. He was in my live chat, and I did not know what the WC stood for, and I was just like in a very good mood, and I was like, Dr. White Chocolate. And that's exactly how I gave him the nickname, and it stood. And I'm glad that he's a great sport. Like I love that guy. He's helped me to feel comfortable being in the Wrestling Super Discord to basically eventually put some of my links in there and stuff like that. He's been very helpful. So you ever want to know why his original name got changed is because I accidentally gave him the nickname.
That's fantastic. That's a great little side story. I mean, because he spoke very highly of you, and I didn't even know
Oh,
that you knew each other. He's like, oh yeah, she's really cool on our Discord, and I'm like, well, that doesn't surprise me because she's really cool. Um, but I didn't know that there was history there. So that now I know
yeah.
something. I just wonder how I can use it against him.
Oh, so the only reason why like I'm sharing this because I didn't know you were gonna call him white chocolate as you put him over on the show and your
I
ending. I thought
don't
you were
know
gonna
his
like
real name.
see. This is why it works.
I don't know who he was before that. I mean, and maybe I
Oh,
did and forgot because I'm old and feeble and infirm, or maybe I just didn't know. But
it had a oh man, it had to deal with something like wrestling community or something with like wrestling. But like he told me after I lovingly gave him the nickname of white chocolate.
yeah, no, that's the thing about cyber
Oh
friendships. Like, I am friendly with a whole lot of people that I have no idea what their real names are, and I don't want to know their real names.
yeah,
It's
that's
totally
true. I'm the same
unnecessary.
way.
It's
I'm the
totally
same way.
unnecessary. So it's literally, I was talking to Shaza earlier in the week, and it was a Zoom call. So her real name showed up, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, is that your friend's? She's like, oh, does it show up my real name? I'm like, oh, I know. I see. I thought her name was something else from,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and she's like, no, that's my real last name. I'm like, okay, but I had no idea. So now I know her real name, which is
Yeah, yeah.
more than I needed to know. Um, but unless, of course, she marries my son, then I need to go. But she's already told me her parents from Australia probably won't pay for a second wedding. So
Oh.
yeah,
All
and
right.
the 12-year age difference between them. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When people listen to this episode, they're gonna be like, "What the hell?" I don't really stray
well,
too far off from
folks, if
wrestling,
you
but yeah,
folks, if you listen to my shows, you will understand that this is what happens all the time, and this is how I form little friendships with people that quickly, because I talk to everybody and about everybody like I've known them for 10 years.
yeah, I can. Yeah, that definitely feels like that. All right, so let me just put myself over. Again, I'm Marie Shadows. Thank you guys for listening to the Square Circle podcast with myself with Dose Evil on here to talk about MLW. Again, we'll be back for MLW Battle Riot. If you're listening to this on youtube.com, folks, that Square Circle Podcast, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, subscribe button, like button, leave a comment if you need to. I reply to every single comment. If you're over on the Spotify side of things, Spotify now allows you to leave comments on the podcast episodes. So please go do that. Again, I will respond to you. Just search up Square Circle Podcast by Marie Shadows on Spotify. If you're over on the newsletter side of things, marieshadows.substack.com, you can leave a comment there too. And also, listen to the podcast on there because Substack has podcasts is available as well. And yeah, just make sure to follow, support, and check out everything that we do. All links to be down in the description below as well. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next one. See ya.
So yeah.